Good morning. My name is Sam. I am an alcoholic and I'm also a son of recovery. Let's start out with the Serenity Prayer. Good and gracious God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. I am reading through Recovery Dharma, how to use Buddhist practices and principles to heal the suffering of addiction. I am on the community Sangha section. This section is going to be divided up into isolation and connection, working with others, wise friends and mentors, and service and generosity. So I'll be looking at each of those throughout the week. So here we go. Community Sangha. Sangha is the third of the three jewels. Loosely translated, it means community. It's where Buddha and Dharma find their expression, where we're supported in putting those principles into action. It's a community of friends practicing the Dharma together in order to develop our own awareness and maintain it. The traditional definition of Sangha originally described monastic communities of ordained monks and nuns, but in many Buddhist traditions, it has evolved to include the wider spiritual community. For us, our Sangha is our community of both Dharma practice and recovery. We are decentralized and leaderless, and there are no rules to follow other than that the meeting should be an open, safe, and accessible space that tries to uphold our core principles of mindfulness, compassion, forgiveness, and generosity. The advice in this chapter comes from the collective experience of hundreds of local groups, and so is offered in the spirit of friendly guidance rather than direction. The essence of a Sangha is awareness, understanding, acceptance, harmony, integrity, and loving kindness. Recovery begins when we learn to pay attention to and investigate experience in the present moment. It's through the Sangha that we first learn to be fully present and that we stop trying to satisfy our craving and turn to an understanding of our thoughts, feelings, sense experience, and actions that includes others. This understanding is fundamentally relational. Our actions have consequences on not only our own lives, but also on the people we meet and share experiences with. Many of us learned this the hard way, by hurting the ones we loved while we were in active addiction. A core part of our recovery includes making amends to those we have hurt, including ourselves. As we've seen, our recovery includes the wise intention to heal the suffering we have caused others, and to act wisely to avoid creating the same suffering in the future. Sangha provides the opportunity to practice a central part of recovery, remembering. Remembering means the wholesome reflection that supports us in our recovery and energizes our practice of compassion, loving kindness, generosity, and forgiveness. Sharing these experiences with others who are also struggling with addictive behaviors helps give us confidence in our own ability to recover our true nature, our potential for awakening. Sangha enlarges our perspective and begins to give us a self-confidence and self-respect that will let us reflect on the ups and downs of recovery without discouragement or hopelessness. When we feel inspired to practice with wise friends, we can trust them to point out when we fall short of our intentions, and we can be honest with ourselves. I'm going to reflect on this real quick. The Sangha enlarges our perspective and begins to give us a self-confidence and self-respect that will let us reflect on the ups and downs of recovery without discouragement and hopelessness. I remember the first time I laughed about my DUI experience, and after laughing, I started crying because I realized that I finally found it funny. But this makes me think of that moment of not being discouraged or hopeless now when we look back on previous experiences with our ups and downs of recovery. So, moving on. The teachings of the Buddha clearly state over and over again that this is not just something we can do on our own, and many programs of recovery, including our own, stress the importance of going to meetings and working with others in recovery. This is often something we resist, and not without reason. Some meetings are boring. Some ask us to believe things that we feel are untrue. Some are depressing or intimidating or unwelcoming for a lot of reasons, but it's with the support of others that so many of us have found relief from the suffering of isolation brought on by our addictions. And it's through being of service that we've been able to get out of our own heads and experience a more sustainable and wholesome joy than our addictions provided. Many of us have found that there's a quality to our meditations that's different when practiced with a group. Particularly when we're getting started, it can be easy to give up or space out after a few minutes. Practicing with others can often give us the motivation to stick with it long enough to start experiencing some of the benefits of practice. And through sharing our experience and listening to what others have to say, we can see how we're not alone in a lot of our challenges. This can come as a welcome surprise after years of suffering shame and feeling like an outcast. Many of us, having habitually isolated ourselves, have found that sharing silence at a meeting creates an atmosphere of trust and can be a common way to get used to being with others. No one is required to speak or participate in meetings. Passing is always an option when it comes to time to share. There's never any requirement to believe in anything, to identify yourself in any way, much less to become a Buddhist or serious practitioner. The wisdom and tools are available to everyone, wherever they are on their path. But not every meeting is going to be a fit for every person. You may live in an area where there are several different options to choose from. Or there may be only a single recovery meeting near you, or none at all. Fortunately, there are also online meetings, many of which can be joined by phone. You can also start your own meeting. However you find them, trust that there are wise friends and a Sangha out there for you. That's actually kind of a lot of stuff. I mean, community, a Sangha is critical, super critical to our healing, to our journeys, and to our recovery. This is emphasizing that, and I am assuming that as we move on with isolation, connection, working with others, I can do it, wise friends and mentors, and service and generosity, that we are going to be learning how much more the community can benefit us. But one thing I do really like about this is no one is required to speak or participate in meetings. Passing is always an option. There's never a requirement to believe in anything, to identify yourself in any way, much less to become a Buddhist or serious practitioner. That is also true with AA, and that really is the truth. You are not required to practice anything. You're not required to believe in anything. Or identify yourself in any way. I mean, except for us being alcoholics, we all identify as that, and people in recovery. And that's important, but yeah, the community. Things about remembering, how some people kind of get hung up on that. Sangha provides the opportunity to practice a central part of recovery, remembering. I know that as I was in meetings and people were sharing, that helped me remember stuff that happened during my past and made me reflect on, wow, I did that too, that was crazy. But watching somebody else talk about it not in a hopeless or depressing way, but just in a matter-of-fact way of like, and this happened to me, and I moved on from that, helped me get to that point too with my own thoughts and feelings about what was happening in my life and what I had done. So I'm super excited about continuing to look at this as we move throughout the week. So tomorrow we will look at isolation and connection, that part of community. So with that, then and now. That was then, when my heart was drawn to evil. Every moment was a trap waiting for me. Every word spoken was a lie and hurtful. I felt only sadness and pain. My eyes saw nothing but darkness. My days were filled with despair and doubt. This is now. My heart is filled with your love. Every moment offers new opportunity. Words spoken are truthful and kind. I feel joy and warmth. I awaken to another beautiful day. My days are filled with faith and hope. And with that, I ask you to please leave any comments, questions, or thoughts, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Thanks.